Anyway, welcome everybody to tonight's British Astronomical Association GNU Radio for Radio Astronomy meeting. It's the 11th of May 2026, and it's wonderful to see so many of you here. And thank you very much for joining me tonight from wherever you are around the world. And thank you for your continuing interest in this subject. We've got quite an exciting evening tonight, particularly because this is the first night where we're going to start the process of trying to move away from using a file source, as we've been developing GNU radio flowcharts, towards actually using a real software-defined radio in our flow graphs, so we're actually picking stuff up from the ether. And the hope is that in future meetings we'll start the process of moving towards writing stuff that's relevant to radio astronomy. This, of course, goes outside the extent of our basic course textbook, so I'm going to be making it up as I go along. So Ted and Chet, I hope if you don't mind if I come to you guys, and also Andrew, if he's around from time to time, to ask you for advice on that, maybe to involve you as well to help with some of the sessions, so that we can get some actual common sense spoken. I'm a bit worried that what I speak isn't always necessarily common sense, or actually correct, which is even worse. So tonight, I'm going to give a very, very short introduction to what's going to happen this evening. By short, I mean about 3 or 4 slides. It is very, very brief. And then I'm going to be handing over to Chet Mitchell here, who's going to be giving a presentation on the AirSpy source block. You'll see what that means in a minute, and how he's used that in his own flow graphs. And also, he's going to demonstrate, perhaps point out to us the modifications he's made to make that flow graph useful in action with some GUI changes. If you haven't got that bit to hand, Chet, don't worry, it doesn't matter. Then, after he's finished, I will come back and I will continue my presentation, which will have a brief overview of some of the alternative source blocks that you can use, and then we'll be carrying out some practical exercises, changing one of our previous flow graphs to make it work with our own SDR, and then making some changes so that we can use it more practically when it's running using some GUIs or graphical user interface inputs. For those of you who are quite experienced at using GNU radio, I do apologise about these as going step by step through these very basic parts of it, but we have to make sure that everybody is up to scratch and at the same level when we start to move on from now on to actually creating our own flow graphs from scratch to do various tasks, whether it's hydrogen ion observing or VLF observing or whatever it is we want to actually do with it. So I'll just start off by giving a very brief introduction, if I can get it to work on my computer. Window, there we are. That should work. Can everybody see using an SDR with GNU radio and GUI modification flow graphs? Brilliant. Forgive me for checking, but it's always good to make sure that before I do the talk and find that nobody can see a thing. Okay, so to say this is going to be extremely brief. If I can get it to move between the slides. Right, so the plan for tonight is, say, as I've said already, on the right hand side, I've already explained that. So what we're trying to get out of it, to get working a source block in GNU radio for your software defined radio, I hope. Ted, are you able to... Oh, I can do it here actually, I've got Adrian. So hopefully you've been able to bring along a software defined radio with you and install GNU radio on your computer, but if not, it doesn't matter. You should still be able to get a lot out of tonight's meeting, I should say. But it would be helpful for future meetings if you are able to work towards getting that to work, because I think you'll find them more useful. But even if not, please keep coming. Don't ever use the excuse not to take part. Then we're going to try and integrate that into your existing GNU radio AM flow graph. If you prefer to use your FM flow graph, that's absolutely fine. And in a second, I'll give you a link to one you can download if you haven't been taking part in previous meetings and haven't actually got one to hand, so you can have one that's ready-made, as it were. And then hopefully you'll be able to pick up radio on your computer. Obviously not going to be radio astronomy, but hopefully some form of radio signals, AM broadcast or FM broadcast. And then we're going to be making some changes to the flow graph with some graphical user interfaces to make it more accessible. This may seem blatantly obvious, but in my experience with the GNU radio, up front, these things don't necessarily hit you in the face as how to put them in, so it's worth making some changes. And you better make whatever changes you want, whether it's volume controls or being able to choose between different channels or whatever you fancy, really. If you're really clever, you can stick your AM and FM flow graphs together and choose between the two of them if you so desire. Just to play around, really. Right, just remind you the course textbook that we've been using so far has been this practical SDR book from David Clark and Paul Clark. If you haven't been going through this with us during or going through the different sessions, it might be worth getting hold of a copy of this and starting at the beginning and going to about chapter 8, 1 to 8, which is about as far as we're going. But we're not going much further than that in this book, because it starts to get into things like digital types of amateur radio, which are not really that relevant to radio astronomy. At least not in the sort of way that we're going to be using it for the time being anyway. But nevertheless, it is an excellent book and has been wonderfully useful to us. If you haven't got on your computer the resources that go with this book, then click on the link now that's available there. Just give you a second and note that password down: GNU Radio 1, capital G, capital N, capital U and capital R. That does have the AM sort of pre-made flow graph if you haven't been making your own as we go along. Okay, anybody need any more time on that? No? Okay. Right, Chet has kindly sent some handouts for tonight's meeting, which are available on that link, so please do click on that so that you can download those handouts. I'll try and remember to send.
We're watching your presentation, but we have no way to click on that, sir.
You can move your cursor. Can you not? Oh, of course you can't. Ah, that's a good point. I will send that link out at the end. Sorry about that. That one, of course, has actually got the link written on it. And I forgot to do that, so it had the link written on it. I do apologise. In a minute or two, when Chet is talking, I might get that one sorted. Or either way, that will get it sent out to you. Sorry about that, guys. If you actually go onto my web, I tell you what, if you go onto my website now, astronomy.me.uk, or this evening, it will be the latest post that's on there, because I've just added it up this evening. So you can go on there and you'll see it say Chet Mitchell's handouts. You've got to get into it directly. So we're going to be using the existing AM radio flow graph, which you will have been making as we went along with the course. There are two different versions of this. I looked back at the details, but this is sort of the latest version. As long as you've got one that works, it doesn't matter. If you don't have one available, then in the resources, you can see it there on the top right, it says /ch_04/solutions/am_rx.grc. So you can find it there. So far, when we've been doing these flow graphs, we've been using a file source, which is a recorded piece of radio in IQ format. So it actually has a range of frequencies in it, and we've been able to tune in to those various frequencies and do pretty much everything with the radio that you can with a real radio. But of course, the difference tonight is that we're going to be moving to actually putting a real radio on our computers. When we talk about source blocks, as we know, a GNU radio is made up of these various blocks, such as in this diagram here. We've got file source, signal source, multiply, low pass filter, etc. And it's what you see is what you get, or sort of what you see is what you get, a way of programming in Python and to some extent in C. So you don't need to be able to program in either of those two languages. You just dump the source box on, put arrows between them, set some settings, and press a button, and lo and behold, it runs as a radio. Obviously a little bit more complicated than that, but in essence that's the idea. So the source block is one that replaces the file source that I have circled there to allow you to use the software-defined radio of your choice. As you can see here, it's a couple of examples: SDR, so RTL SDR source, and UHD USRP source, which is good for the B210 device. As you can see, there are a number of different settings within these source blocks, and you can either put a number in there, or you can use a variable which you can define elsewhere, which allows you to ultimately either change the the numerical value either before you run the flow graph, or alternatively while it's running using a GUI. And you can see that there are you've got options. Sometimes you've got an input on these things, but most of these source blocks, because they are a source, they don't have one of these sort of blue ins on the left-hand side. The command is something that allows you to feed back a command from elsewhere in the flow graph if you're doing anything fancy with it, but usually isn't that necessary. And then you've got the out, which you feed into something else. On the right-hand side, the out 0 and the out 1 is because the B210 is a dual channel transceiver, so there's two outputs on there, which can either be transmitting or receiving. So I tried to look up all the currently available GNU radio source blocks, and this is the lot that I came up with. Does anybody know of any that I missed?
Well, there's the one I use is called Osmocom, or it's called as Osmocom. I think it's pretty much the same as the one you have marked RTL SDR source. I don't know if they're different or not.
But it's a different block, is it?
It might be, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, it's OSMOCOM.
And
it's a
does that work with many different types of SDRs, or does it just work with
it does. It does. It works with the AirSpy, like I have, and RTL SDR and some others as well. It's kind of like SOAPy, it's like a front end you can hook different things to.
Ah, brilliant. Well, thank you for that. Anybody know of any others that I've missed that come in the standard package? I mean, there will be some people who have probably written their own source blocks that work in different ways, or for different types of SDRs that aren't normally covered, in the same way that Ted has already written his own sync block for SDR, or at least one that produces an output which is relevant for Ezra file types, so that he can save the data in Ezra format. So it is possible to write your own blocks, but at the moment I was just trying to collect together the ones that are available. So those ones there, plus the Osmocom one. And you notice, as just been pointed out, that there are basically two different types of blocks. We have some at the bottom, which are ones that are specifically written with their own sort of formatting for a particular SDR. And then at the top, we have this thing called SOAPy. So I looked up what SOAPy was, to give you an official definition. Oops, hang on. I haven't got it there. Where is it? It's, hang on, I think it's just property name. Anyway, just let me go past this one. So, first of all, supported by the RTL SDR source block, will actually support a number of different similar devices, just to say.
Yeah.
And there it actually mentions the Osmo SDR as well, so I didn't realise it was a separate one as well. But the point is that there are a number of different SDRs here that are essentially the same device underneath the hood, which therefore will run on a single source block device. And then I'll tell you what, I'll come back to SOAPy later on because it moves on to some examples of that. So I think we'll just pass over to Chet at the moment. Thanks, Chet.
Okay. Sure.
Oh, excuse me, let me just finish sharing my screen.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And go ahead and hit share on mine here. Actually, I'll do that in just a minute. Let me just say a little bit about AirSpy. I got into amateur radio astronomy through this project called going on the internet, Googling on the internet, and finding this project called the Spira, which is a project done by the University of West Virginia. They developed a radio telescope for high school science teachers to build. So I got into it first through that community. I didn't connect up with Sarah until after I'd already built a Despira telescope. And the Despira stuff, all their software, they have two versions of everything. There's a version that uses RTL SDR, and there's a version that uses AirSpy. And so I picked the AirSpy, and I did that, and that was fine. Once I joined up with the folks on Sarah, and I got interested in using Ezra, and at that time, maybe a year ago, I discovered to my horror that Ezra did not support AirSpy. It was basically for RTL-STR. So Ted was working on a version, and I decided to work on one too, and Ted came up with one. Ted also uses SOAPy in the Easy Call program, on his program. So that's how I got into digging around into AirSpy internals or whatever. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And see. Also share audio. So just flip that switch on, or
While you're doing that,
okay.
While you're doing that, I noticed that Ted has posted in the chat a number of links. Thank you, Ted, for doing that, including a direct link to the handouts on my website, which you can just click on now to download.
Okay.
And also the internet resources are still there as well for anybody that needs them.
Okay, so hopefully I'm sharing my screen, and I'm going to go to, I'm using LibreOffice instead of Microsoft, so let me get my slideshow going here. Okay, what I'm going to cover is just an introduction to how to use the AirSpy with GNU Radio. And it's basically a matter of picking, a source object and then filling in the properties. There's maybe 5 of them, and hopefully it'll be clear to people as I go through here. I did want to mention the resources that I gave to Andrew to share. 2 of them are a little bit more abstract. One is airspy.c. Okay, that's the source code for the AirSpy device driver. If you're comfortable reading C code and you want to really know how stuff works, this is the place to go. It's actually quite an understandable program. I also put up a PDF of an article from a magazine called Radio User. It's a nice 4-page article that goes through all of the hardware in the AirSpy and explains kind of how it works. So that's something that I thought was very helpful. I also shared 2 other things. One is just a sheet that summarizes what I'm about to tell you about setting the block characteristics, and then a copy of the program I came up with for the FM radio. Anyway, moving along here. Okay, so I'm using the Osmocom GNU radio component, and like I said, it supports several different STRs. Let me mention one thing in passing. The SOAPy that comes with GNU radio has one of the things it supports is AirSpy HF. Okay, that is not the same as the AirSpy period or the AirSpy R2. It's a completely different piece of hardware because it has extra chips in it to get into the ham radio frequencies, but that block will not work with a garden variety AirSpy, only with that one version of the AirSpy. Okay, and the way you set it up is by setting values for various properties in the source object. And the source object has a whole lot of properties but most of them are for a variety of different things. There are only about 4 or 5 that are important for AirSpy. So this is what the Osmocom block looks like with the basic properties. And the ones we're going to fill in, I'll just tell you, we're going to go over them individually, but the device arguments, which is where you tell it I want to use an AirSpy, and a couple other things. Then the sample rate, the starting frequency, which is called frequency hertz, and then down below it has 3 gain fields marked RF gain, IF gain, and BB gain. So you have to set the AirSpy thing, you have to tell it what your sample rate is and where you want to start, and then you have to do something with these gains. So let me go through those individually. Okay, the device option for the Osmocom block is a string, and the first thing you have to put in if you're using an AirSpy is the word AirSpy. That's how it knows which thing you want. And that has 2 options, okay? The first option is bias equal 1, or you could do bias equal 0. And that turns on the AirSpy has a bias T in it to power the low noise amplifier. And when you're doing radio astronomy, or what I've seen most of the time, people use an external low noise amplifier, and then you can power it directly through the USB with this bias option. And then the other thing it has is the thing marked PAC, which I have PAC equal 1s. That's something that's built in to the AirSpy, and what it does is it takes the data stream as it comes in from the radio and does its initial processing or whatever, and it compresses the data stream before it hands it to the USB driver. And then at the far end, when it goes into the computer, it silently unpacks everything. So that's just an option to increase throughput, and I normally leave that turned on. So these are the options you would want to use with the AirSpy. The sample rate, as far as I can tell, the AirSpy R2 supports 2 sample rates, 10 megahertz or 2.5 megahertz. And I usually use 10. I think 2.5 is the same as what the RTL SDR uses. And then so you set the sample rate, and normally that isn't going to change as you run. Frequency is going to be, normally you're going to assign that a named variable to that field so that you can change it as you go, to look at different things. The default for the stuff that probably most of us do is 1.42 gigahertz for hydrogen, the hydrogen line. Okay, and then this is the last settings, the gain stages. The AirSpy allows the user to add gain in 3 different stages of its processing pipeline. It calls these RF, IF, and BB, which I think means radio frequency, intermediate frequency, and baseband. So this is like what you would see if you're doing like super heterodyning. And you give it an integer value to tell it how much gain you want to give. And the gain values range from 0 to 15. If you put in a value greater than 15, like 20 or 30, the driver will just silently lower it down to 15. Okay. The most significant one is the first one, the RF gain. I did some experiments and I found that if you don't set a value to this, you get nothing coming in. Okay. You really have to give it a number, and I normally give it like 15, which is the maximum. You should bear, and so some people use in some of the Despira software, there are people who use the other 2 gain stages, but you don't have to. But you should remember that gain is not the same as signal. Okay, you're adding power to your signal, but you're probably also adding noise. So we'll have to do some trial and error to figure out, what you want to do there. Okay, you will need an antenna. I know Ted says you can just stick a paper clip in, maybe that works. I wanted to show you guys this picture. This is an antenna, an SDR antenna that they sell on Amazon. And I have one of these, and I just wanted to say that it works really well. It's for the FM stuff, it's been great. You know, it's as good an antenna as you could ask for. Amazon sells them for about $20. Okay, and now let's go ahead and see if I can get the program running here. Okay, are there any questions so far? Okay, so here's my block diagram for the program. It's basically the same FM program that we've been working on. I've thrown on some more blocks to get some graphs and things. You'll see that when I fire the program up. Also, I played around with the layout a little bit. I'll just tell you, next month at our June meeting, I'm going to do another presentation where I just talk through how you do layout in New Radio. I thought that might be helpful to people, so we'll discuss that then. Okay, I'm going to see if I can fire it up, and we'll see what we get here.
On compassion, integrity, and a deep respect for every story they help preserve.
Okay, can you guys see that okay?
New Carlisle, or follow them on Facebook. And
Okay.
see how
Yeah,
they
we
turn
can see and
memories
hear
into
it.
something truly everlasting.
Yeah.
At the Tulsa
So-
Center for Community Excellence, we're building
This
more
is,
than programs. We are building community. Located in
So,
Elkhart.
what I've
we
got
offer
is
memberships for
the graphs. I've got the raw
open 7 days a week, offering fitness,
output,
youth programs,
like it comes in over the air spy,
outdoor amenities.
and I added in a waterfall diagram and set the
I'm Dr. Brianna,
color,
and I invite
and
you
then the other two graphs
special.
show the output of
and open doors.
the wideband FM receiver block,
Visit Tulsa.
and then the rational resampler output block.
If you or someone you
And-
know is looking for a new job or
and
changing career,
Down here,
job and career
way in the corner is where you can
first from one
actually
at the Moose
do the
Lodge on
tuning
County
here.
Road 6 in Elkhart.
Right now I have it tuned into the strongest
Indiana Toll Road
station in my area.
Just to name a few. Full and
But,
part-time, various shifts and positions are available.
This is,
at the Job and Career Expo.
you see, it seems to work.
21st.
It works well.
U93.com for more details.
This is, like I said, this is the strongest.
Smart Express. Come on.
Okay.
This is the strongest
Customers can buy their first
station in my area, but it also works for some very weak ones. It pulls in okay too.
and same-day classes. You'll never miss a moment.
Okay.
The kind of savings and
So,
service you can really get used to.
Anyway, like I said, next time I'll go through the process of explaining how I did the layout of this to make it look like this. And I put the source code for this
Echoes of Notre Dame
into the stuff that's being shared.
Feel the roar of
So-
the crowd, the pride of tradition.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because I can't hear myself
This is your
think.
chance to lock in your seats
Okay.
for the 2026 Fighting Irish.
Okay, and are there any questions? Can you guys hear me okay?
Would you
Yes,
be
I have
able
a
to
question.
show your
Sure.
show your flow graph again, and just perhaps
Yeah,
show
yeah.
us the different ways, what the different blocks do,
Okay, sure.
especially the
Okay.
ones that you've added with the GUIs and the displays.
Okay, so over here on the left, where I'm pointing, that's the Osmocom block that we went through before with the slides. Okay, so it replaced the little file thing, and it's going into the frequency translating FIR filter block. And then what I added on was I have the so I added the Osmocom block, and then I added a frequency sync that just shows the raw output of the AirSpy, and that was the graph that was across the top. So that shows you the actual FM signals coming in, and you can see, the signals and the noise and whatever. And so it goes into the frequency translating FIR filter and then to the wideband FM receiver. And we set these up last time, I believe. And they're also set up in the book. I have one comment about the frequency translating block, but I'll say that in a minute. But what I did I wanted to see what was going on better, a little better. So I added in a frequency sync block to this wideband FM receiver so I could see what that looked like. And it goes from the wideband FM receiver down to the rational resampler. And then, like I said, I added yet another block in there to put a graph on for that. And if you choose the widget frequency sync, you automatically get a graph. Okay, that you don't have to tell it anything to make a graph or anything. That's kind of built into it. And then the one other thing I added was when you get to the final output stage, I added a waterfall sync block just so that I could see if that worked or not. The one thing I wanted to say about this flow diagram is this block, this frequency translating FIR filter. I got my thing together and I got it laid out and I got it working, but then when I thought I was done, I realized that all my frequencies were wrong. Like I was typing in 97.7, but it was actually pulling up 94.5 or whatever. I wasn't landing on the frequency that I wanted. In the book, the author gives you a formula to put in here for the field center frequency, and that's what I had in that block. And finally, I just said, I don't want anything there. So I wiped out that formula and put in 0, and at that point, everything started working okay. I don't know if any of you guys had been working on this and had run into that thing, but so I took out his formula and just stuck in a value of 0, and that seems to work okay. Okay, are there any other questions about the flow graph? Let me show you one thing here. On these frequency, let me just pick a block here, this one here. Most of the blocks where it displays stuff on the screen, way down toward the bottom of them is at the very last field, it's marked GNU hint, okay? That's where you tell it which row and which column you want this field in. And like I said, I'll go over that at our next meeting. I'll explain how you get those numbers and how you do the layout. So, okay. Are there any questions about the flow graph?
No, that was brilliant. Thank you very much, Chet. That was a fantastic presentation, and I'm certainly looking forward to the next meeting. Absolutely marvelous. If anybody else wants to talk about any of the other blocks in that sort of detail, I think it would be very useful to all of us. So please let me know if that or anything else that you're doing, and I can easily find a place to put you in one of the meetings. Okay.
Yeah, and I went ahead and included the flow graph for the FM radio in the stuff I was sharing. And if you have an RTL SDR, all you would need to do is take out the Osmocom block and stick in an RTL SDR block, and everything should work the same.
Fantastic. And if you look on Wikipedia, you can actually find that Osmocom block, and it gives you a list of all the different types of SDRs that it will work with, if you're interested. Okay, great. Well, I'll just share my screen again. and we'll carry on from where I left off.
Okay. So I hit stop sharing, so hopefully
I think
I
I can
have actually stopped sharing.
I think I can just take over.
Okay.
Advantage of being the meeting organizer.
Yeah.
So I mentioned before that don't get carried away with the fact that things like RTL, SDR, you might well find that a single block will actually cover a multitude of different SDRs if they use the similar type of hardware underneath the surface. So I talked about SOAPy block, which is RTL SOAPy block, and that's just an example here of putting together. I mean, obviously we've seen something far more developed in Chet's presentation there, but back to something rather basic. So I've got the SOAPy RTL SDR source, and it's gone out to a frequency sync and a time sync. Remember, as before, that the color of the outs on the one block must be the same color as the ins on the next block. Quite often
Yes.
you can change those ins to different colors, which is the type of data. So you can match them up, but they must match with each other. And as long as they're the same color, in many cases you can send a single out to multiple ins, so that you can display different things in different. So, example, the data that's coming through in different ways. You also notice at the top that we've got a couple of GUI ranges which have come in here for frequency and RF gain, as this particular RTL SDR block only has one type of gain, and this means that we will have a display when we're running it, which will allow us to change the frequency and the RF gain live, as it were, as the actual device is picking up data and running the radio for us. And this is how we mimic the idea of a radio GUI interface, so that we can change frequencies or gain or any other aspects, or volume or any other aspects of the running of the device in vivo, as it were. So I did look up what a SOAPy SDR was, and this is going to be similar to the OSCOM or any other type of similar sort of system. I'll leave you to read it. It's a driver subsystem in the POSAware ecosystem, but more importantly, it provides a specification for drivers and a management layer to use them. And as you can see, they are linked, discovered and loaded, and then importantly will run independently of the SOAPy SDR user. In this case, basically, to some extent, you don't even need to know what SOAPy SDR is. Basically, you just load up the relevant block and it will run in GNU radio for you. So although it's great to hear what these things are, one of the lovely things about GNU radio is you don't need to know. You just need to know this will work for you and what specifications to put in it. So starting back at the base, really at square one, I know everyone here is probably way beyond this, so I apologise for going through the basics again, but bear in mind we have a lot of people who log into these meetings who perhaps haven't seen them before, so it's important to work slowly through the steps so that people can follow them if they're going back through the meetings from the beginning to here, perhaps. So in our previous meetings, we've developed this AM radio flow graph, and it's used the file source. So what we do here is we basically lop out those two lines which connect the file source through to the frequency sync and to the multiply block, and replace it. This is the AM flow graph, by the way, which is why it's different from Chet's flow graph there, and replace it with whatever SDR that we want. In this case, I've used the RTL SDR source. I've actually added in an extra block, which has not been mentioned before, which is something called a selector block. And this allows us to, if we want to have the file source or the RTL SDR and just choose between them. An interesting thing I've run into is that the flow graphs don't work if there isn't a relevant SDR for whatever SDR source that you've got. And if anybody knows any way around that, I'd be very interested, because I started off originally trying to have two different radio options, and then as you often get in most commercial software or even software that's been written by amateurs, you can usually choose between what type of SDR you're going to use. But one of the problems with the GNU radio is you seem to have to select that in the flow graph before you actually run the flow graph. But as I say, I'd be very interested indeed if anyone knows of any way around that. So I could replace file source there, for example, with an AirSpy Mini SDR, or the same AirSpy Osmocom block that Chet's been talking about, And then the flow graph would only work if I had both the AirSpy and the RTL SDR plugged in. I could then choose between them using the selector. As I say, anybody know anything past that avoids that, I'd be really interested. Remember back, just to remind you, with the AM flow graph, these work in an interesting way. You send your radio signal and you actually use a signal source as a sort of intermediate frequency, which you multiply with the one coming from your radio, and then you pass it, which then moves the signal, so it's spanning 0 from wherever it is. And then we use the low pass filter, which cuts both top and bottom around 0 to cut off beyond a certain area. So whether we define it as here is got a cut-off frequency, you see a 5K, so 5,000, so it will cut 0 plus a 5,000 and 0 minus 5,000 and chop everything else to give us that 10,000 hertz bandwidth. That's the way that you do it in GNU radio. You can't do it at, I don't know, 1 megahertz. You have to move the 1 megahertz to 0 and then top and tail it. And then display it, which will either turn up on the display as around 0, or if you tell the display block be the correct frequency, will then correct it and give you the correct frequency. So within GNU radio, as it processes through the flow graph, it does not know what the real frequency is, because your SDR ultimately just sends an amount of data of a certain bandwidth into the computer, rather than stuff that covers the whole stuff from 0 up to that bandwidth. Rational resampler, just to remind you, is a way of changing the frequency of the data that you've got coming through at this point. And why do we need to do that? And that's because the audio sync in this case will only take 32 kilohertz on this particular audio sync, so we have to change the frequency down to 32 kilohertz. And the easiest way to do that is through this interpolation and decimation, just to remind you. So if we've got 400 kilohertz, as in this particular case, decimate takes 1 in 1/400th of the data, so it takes it down basically to 1 kilohertz, and then 32 interpolate, it sort of effectively multiplies it by 32 to bring you up to 32 kilohertz is the easiest way of doing it. We've discussed this in a previous meeting, if anybody wants to go back and look at those. Right, adding an SDR source as an option to the file source then in your existing flow graph is just the same thing again, but this time I've just removed those bits about removing things, so it left you with the final flow graph. And I don't know whether anybody would be like to have a go with their own SDR at trying this. So if you want to do this, what you need to do is I'll just stop sharing, come back to it in a second now so you can see me. What you need for this purpose, where am I gone?
Andrew, I want to ask you, if with the selector, could I select between two different SDR receiver, for example, to compare the performance?
Only if both your SDRs are plugged in before you start the flow graph. I was trying myself to find a way of doing it so that, you know, for example, if you play sort of other pieces of software, you'll find that often you get the choice from a drop-down menu to choose which SDR that you've got, and it will automatically then change the settings to suit that SDR. And I was trying to achieve that same effect. But in those pieces of software, if you only need to plug one SDR in to achieve it. But within GNU radio flow graphs, it appears that if you put two source blocks, it will only then run the flow graph if you've got both SDRs plugged in at the same time, which may or may not be a problem for you.
It was a question because a possibility to evaluate two different SDR receivers.
Yeah, I mean, what you can do is, if you go back to what I did showed a minute ago, you can do what's here. You can actually set it up with multiple receivers like this. If you're only going to plug one in at a time, if you right click on the block before you run it, you can turn it off. As has happened here, the selector and the RTL SDR source have been switched off here. So you wouldn't need the selector to do that. You could have 3 or 4 different SDRs here and then just only switch on the block that you're going to use during that actual when you run it at that time. And then when you want to change it, you could actually just stop the flow graph, deselect the one you're using, then select the one that you're not using, and then run it again.
Okay.
I mean, it's a bit clunky. I mean, I don't think it's not so nice. I'm surprised there isn't some way of saying, hey, in action, I want to choose between an SDR and an AirSpy and a B210 and whatever else, and so that the others will switch on and off during the actual running process. But as yet, I've not been able to find a way around that. But as I say, if anybody knows it, please let me know.
Okay, thank you, Andrew.
Okay. So I wanted to show something which, again, may be very, very obvious to you, but for anybody who's not used to this, if you look at my little picture on there, whatever, I have here a paperclip. If you don't have an aerial to hand, I mean, the one that Chet's mentioned is probably an excellent aerial, but if you don't have one to hand, you just take a paperclip and you just straighten it out. For these sort of purposes, for a strong radio source that you're just going to use for test purposes, and then you just poke that into your SDR. In the center, there's you can see there on there there's a little spot where the central connector is, and if you just poke that in so it touches the central connector but not the outside, then that will often pick up very strong sort of FM and AM sources, as long as they're strong. I mean, it's completely useless for radio astronomy, of course, but if you're just testing a flow graph, it can be quite helpful. So what I suggest, if you've not done this before, is plug your SDR in, and what I'd like you to try and do, just check what's on the next page, 1 minute. Yeah, so before we do anything else, oops, forget that. I'd like to try and see if you can get working your own SDR on your AM flow graph. If you prefer to do it with your FM flow graph, that's absolutely fine. Has everybody got an AM flow graph they can work with if you have access to GNU radio?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's got problems? If you haven't got GNU radio, you're a bit stuck for a second, but just watch everybody else. So if you pull that up and then plug your SDR in, is there anybody here who's following along with this and doing it, or is everybody already way beyond this? Where are we, team? Are people doing this or not?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I was just worried for a second that
Yes.
that what was happening was okay. Presentation. Just bring that up again. If you're already way beyond this and you want to sort of carry on adding extra bits and pieces of any interest to you, or maybe trying to combine your FM radio and your AM radio together, that's fine, using something like the selector block to choose between the two, and just literally just copy the blocks across. You can actually select multiple blocks together and then right click and copy them, and then copy them down into another flow graph if you wish.
Yeah.
And if you give me some indication of if you managed to do it when people have started to are finished, let me know.
Okay. Yeah, I've done it online. I wasn't sure. I'm just taking whatever the default center frequency or the sample Yeah, whatever the default sample rate was. I'm not that out to lunch in terms of frequency or whatever.
Yeah. Well, in an ideal world now, what you would do is, in a second, I'd like you to try and tune into an AM. Are you using AM or FM there at the moment?
Let's see. I'm using the FM.
Yeah.
I'm using the AM flow graph.
So what you need to have an idea of is what sort of local strong AM sources there are close to you. So you have one of those frequencies ready. So in the UK here, AM radio frequencies, what have we got? Radio 4 here operates at 198 kilohertz, for example. And they're apparently BBC Radio 5 is on 909 kilohertz and 693 kilohertz. So that's just for the UK. If you just look up on your phone what frequencies work for, there's a whole range of them here for the UK. Because what I'd like you to do then, perhaps some people give us, when they're ready, perhaps give us a demonstration, perhaps showing the running the radio and showing it in action, picking up an AM channel. That'd be wonderful if one of you feels able to do that.
I get a message that the flowchart failed to open my RTL SDR device.
Right. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and I downloaded a driver when I set up GNU Radio, but I didn't know where to put it.
What is the device you're using?
It's the Smart T.
Well, that should work. Well, what source block are you using?
It's the NESDR Smart T.
Yeah, but what source block are you using in GNU Radio?
RTL SDR.
Oh, I'm surprised that doesn't work. Do you want to perhaps share your screen with us? Have a look at what's going on?
No, it's a different computer, because I wanted one that I could take outside. So it's on a laptop, I'm watching on my desktop.
Yeah.
Don't think the camera will reach that far. Might do.
I think we might have had this problem with Dave in the past trying to connect. He keeps trying to come in, but he can't seem to get it to work. Let me share that that window again. Has anybody managed to get this working?
It came up with and it had a graph of all the frequencies on it, and I tried typing in a frequency for it to for a station, and I just got a bunch of noise out of the speaker, and also it locked up new radio. I had to do a hard shutdown of new radio to get out of it. So I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not quite sure what.
Okay. How about you, Ted? How are you getting on?
I'll see if I can connect through my laptop.
Okay. So if I stop sharing, do you want to share your screen?
Not ready yet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Andrew, I'm trying to replicate your flowchart, but it takes time to do this.
Yeah, sure. Shall I pull it back? Shall I pull it back up again?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
As I say, it's the same one that was on the resources there. The only thing that was changed was the RTL SDR source, really, and I added in the selector. But you don't need the selector. You could just get rid of the file source and replace it.
Okay.
Do you want me to show you where the resources are again?
I know where they are, but I prefer to replicate your flowchart
Okay.
because the variables.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually not sure I can get this to work on my AirSpy. I just checked one of my references. The lowest frequency you can hit on an AirSpy is 24 megahertz. So I think that may be above the
maximum AM
above the
available.
AM band.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. Fair enough. But you've done it on your FM band for us, which is fine. I mean, I didn't realise that AM band was so low in the US there. So I'm sorry about that. It goes much higher here in the UK. And the reason I chose the AM flow graph was because it's more relevant to radio astronomy than FM. That was the only reason, but you could use the FM flow graph, guys, if you wanted to try and replicate this after the meeting's finished. Okay, well let's move on a bit, and at least whether you manage to get your source block to work or not. That's something you can work on outside the meeting. And I'll show you what, and we'll move on to what else that you can do with it. So I'll just pull up my presentation again. So, whether it's worked for you or not, the basic principle is there that you can replace the file source with your SDR source. There is one thing that is significantly different between using an SDR than using a file source. As if you might remember, one of the problems that we had previously with file sources was quite often that the computer will go as fast as it could because there was really no limitation on data transfer from the file source into the GNU radio flow graph. And so sometimes we had to add in a throttle block to try and slow the computer down because it would go too fast to space and overheat. But this doesn't tend to be the case, or this isn't the case with SDRs, which are limited by the data rates that are coming down the radio. So that's just one particular difference. Clearly this flow graph doesn't have a throttle in it. Right, so the next thing I want to show is we talked about adding in GUIs to try and show some, try and make some differences. And you might, for example, want to go back to using the file source if you are having difficulty getting the SDR to work. So deselect the SDR so it's not working. Just turn on your file source again so that you can use that, and then that should work for you on your computer for the time being. Now, you can add a volume control in, so if we go back, sorry, we haven't got the FM flowchart on there, but the block I want to point out to you is this one here called multiply constant. You'd think, as has been pointed out by Chet before, gain doesn't necessarily relate to volume, which is a sort of strange concept. So here, if you want to actually increase the volume, one of the easiest ways is to, right before the audio sync, is to just add in a multiplication, however much you want it to be in there. remember that even though this says something like 501.187, this can either be numerical within these blocks, or alternatively it could be a variable, and in fact the block only shows what the current value of the variable is. So in fact, if we go up here, we can see that there's a GUI range variable called volume, which sort of implies that in there there's actually, it doesn't say 501, it actually says volume on it. So that allows you to, when it's running, to be able to change that. Likewise, I've got an RF gain and I've got frequency again. I've just added this this volume in. In this particular flow graph, we've got the original data that's coming in, where we've got a frequency sink to show us the distribution of that data. But the audio sink itself has been changed with the rational resampler so that it fits in with the WM receive block, which is doing the demodulation, and then we've got the volume, and then we've got the audio sync coming up the end, in this case 48 kilohertz. I put down the bottom a number of different aspects of that could be changed and that are worth putting in. We'll come back to this in a minute or two now. You might want to give a go on yours. Here another graph showing the same sort of thing and showing in practice how it fits in with the actual properties. Again, we'll come back to that in a minute or two. And here I've gone a bit bonkers and added in a whole pile of extra GUIs to try and control this. So I can now change my FFT size, my gain, my volume, as well as my center frequency, my frequency and my sample rate. Go mad with it, really. Just really trying it out. And some extra displays again. So here I've added in an audio sync, a waterfall sync, and a frequency sync. Again, so show the side. And here's a video where, wait a minute, this might not actually work. A second, let's just try it. Share, include sound. Let's see how this goes. So it's just a video where I've tried these things on it. Hang on. It's falling apart. So that's just me showing the different blocks that are on here. Same as before, we've got the SDR source, or the file. I'm going to be using this file source here for the selector, the frequency sync that's come straight out of the selector. Then we've got signal source to multiply it, to bring it back to 0, the low pass filter, and the demodulation because it's AM, and the rational resampler, and the audio block at the audio sync at the bottom. I switched it on. It's showing us some difficulty with some different libraries. That's not really an issue. It's detected my SDR. And here we've got my final display coming up there, which I can turn the volume up on it, so it's not showing any sound. I've got the option here to choose between...
Sorry, Andrew, you're not sharing the screen. We can only see the cameras.
Really? Okay, I do apologise. I don't know why that's happening. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Can you see the PowerPoint presentation there now?
Yeah, it's coming up. It's a black screen at the moment.
Yep. Let's see how it goes. Not from the beginning, from the current slide. Can you see a screen with stuff moving on it?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's just showing the different blocks again. And I've just started that flow graph. Which seems to have stopped dead. No, it's still going. So, and unfortunately, sounds doesn't seem to be working on this at the moment. But again, it's so just tell you, we've got the RTL SDR source being selected, and then it's going through the various processes of demodulation, and then the volume block at the bottom. And here I am changing the volume block at the top on my selector. Not necessarily the most beautiful of GUIs, but it's very simple. I've got the ability to choose between the data sources, my RTL SDR or my file, just by the 0 or 1 number. I can have my frequency or my center frequency changed here. And I can also change my FFT block size. And at the bottom I can change the gain if I so desire. I've just put those in, they're not necessarily in any logical order. Okay. So if I go back to that presentation, which so click the wrong button, switch it off. Wait a minute, why is this not going down? So you may want to have a go at trying to add in, first of all, if you haven't done so before, just see if you get this to work for you. As many people are having problems with their actual SDRs, do you want to change it back to the file source? So you might want to get rid of your selector block and your RTL SDR source or whatever other SDR source you added in, and put back the file source and add the lines back, going straight to your frequency sink and multiply there. Or anything else that seems reasonable to you. Have a go at that first, if you haven't done so already. Hopefully you didn't delete the file source from the previous one. If anybody's got problems, please let me know.
Andy, I've got a slight problem.
Yep.
Which may be simple, complicated ones. I've been getting a runtime error. Failed to open the RTL SDR device. Got it all plugged in.
Yeah.
Not sure why that should be.
Shall we have a look at that
Any
at the end of when we pass the normal recording? We can have a look at that together.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Okay. For the time being, let's just go back to the file source and just get that working, just so that you can play around with the GUIs bit. I must admit, I didn't realise that people were going to have as many difficulties with the SDRs and GNU radio, but it's as well that it's come up to date, because then we can get that sorted, and then for future meetings you'll have a working SDR with your GNU radio, which will be great. How many people have managed to sort this out so far and gone back to their file sources? Give a shout if you're still making the change. Well, nobody's shouting. Does that mean that everybody's managed to finish so far? Okay, we'll move on then. So that was the that one we discussed. So we're going to now add in the multiply constant block. I mean, the fact this is on an FM radio doesn't mean anything. It's exactly the same thing on an AM radio. So you just add in, before your audio sync, a multiply const block, and you can see on the right hand side what you need to add. So you're going to need to add in a GT GUI range block as well, and rename that volume, and some suggested values there on that of -6, -110 and 0.01, and you want to set that as being float. I think that's the automatic when it comes up. Make sure it does that. And then in the multiply const block, you make sure that your constant, that is that amount its volume multiplied by, suggests 10 times then in brackets volume divided by 20. I don't know why you've got to put star rather than just one star. Oh, somebody's got success. Who's that?
Oh, that was me playing the file, the information that was on the file.
Oh, have you added the
I
multiply?
forgot my microphone was turned on.
That's fine. Have you added the multiply constant block? Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. That's the next step.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just leave you a second to do that. Has everybody managed to complete that? Or is there anybody still doing it? Anybody still doing it?
Andrew, I'm trying with RTL SDR, but I got a runtime error.
Yes, we'll have a look at that at the end of the meeting if you want to stay on the line.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but at the moment we're trying to do it with the file block, just that we can do this at this part of the session. So have you managed to get the file working again and put the multiply constant block in?
Yeah, Andrew, what did you want us to put in the Qt GUI entry?
Well, there's some suggestions there. Can you see the screen? Can you see my screen that says...
cameras again.
Is it? Oh, cameras again? I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll pull it back up again. It must be cutting off. I thought I'd forgotten last time, but I think it must be forgotten. Can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Okay, yes. Actually, Qt GUI range, of course.
Yes. Sorry about that. I definitely didn't disconnect the running the presentation, so I don't know what's going on. The good news is we should be on Zoom next meeting, so hopefully this won't be an issue.
Okay.
He promises, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
I thought you all had this in front of you. Sorry about that.
Qt GUI range. Can you just read out the values and the range, please, Andrew?
Yeah, so on the GUI range, so the idea of suggesting volume or vol, whatever you want to call it, just call it volume, and then we're giving it a label of volume, then dB in brackets. Make sure the type is float,
Yep.
and then a default value suggested, as out of the book here, suggested default value of -6. With a start of -100, a stop of 10,
Yeah.
stop of 10, step of 0.1, and then we're going to choose the widget counter plus slider, the widget counter plus slider, minimum length 200.
Right, that's great.
It doesn't really matter where you put it, but we've got a GUI hint of 3, 0, 1, 10. And this just tells you which line to put it on. It doesn't really matter.
Okay.
3, 0, 1, 10. And then that should be that. You should be able to save that now.
Yep.
And then we open the multiply constant
Yep.
block. And that has much less to put in. It should say float for the IO type.
Yes.
And then constant is we're going to place with our equation. We're going to have 10 star star open brackets volume, that's our variable, divided by 20 end brackets. So 10 star star open brackets volume divided by 20 end brackets, and then a vector length of 1. Vector length of 1.
Yeah.
And then save that.
So that should open a slider that I can use to adjust the volume.
Well, give it a try.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn my microphone on.
As long as you've got your file working again. Do you want to share your screen and show us whether it's working or not?
So yeah, it's working.
Brilliant. Do you want to share your screen? Top right, next to leave, the red button you've got on the left hand side of that, share. And then select.
I've got that. So select a tab to share.
And then press share audio, and then you can either select the screen or you can select the whole of your desktop.
Okay, window, that's the one. So that's the slider. Quiet.
Okay, we're not seeing any displays on here at the moment. Is that because your screen seems very big?
Can you not see the... Okay.
Can you shrink it down at all? Or maybe your best bet is to share your whole desktop. That might be easier and make it work better.
Yeah.
Unshare and then share again your whole desktop. So go through the same process again. Press share, select audio on, and now choose, I think it says rather than window, choose screen. That'll give you your whole desktop.
Is it not coming through?
What does it say on your screen? Does it say it's sharing?
Entire screen. There we go.
Ah, brilliant. Now at the moment we've got this meeting, so you'll need to minimize that so that we can see your... That's brilliant. Now, at the moment we're showing again the flow chart, which suggests it's running, so if you minimize that or scroll through your screens, you should be able to bring up your screens. You know, Alt Tab or something until you get them.
Right. So that's the
meeting. Perhaps minimize that meeting or minimize... That's it. Brilliant. So at the moment that just shows that particular window. Do you have a separate window with the actual displays on, do you?
It's there somewhere.
Tell you what, stop it. Press the square black button next to the play button. Stop that and stop it, and then try replaying it again.
No, stop.
Yeah, then play it again. You might find that sorts it out. Lovely picture in the background.
There it is. So, can you see the slider?
Just about. Can you see your flow graph at all?
No, I can't see photographs.
No, the flow graph. Can you see the flow graph? Is that still on your screen?
Can I
Or is
see the
it?
flow graph? Yeah.
Minimise that. Minimise your flow graph.
Can you not see
Yeah, I think
the execution window?
no. If you minimise the flow graph, it'll take the flow. That's better. Yes. And do you have another window with displaying the graphical displays with the plots of the output as well?
No, I haven't built those in yet.
Okay, fair enough. That's where we are then. So yes, we can see your display there, which shows your. It keeps wanting to shoot back your flow graph. I don't know why, but we could see for a second. We could see your window.
No, that's my fault. That's what I've done.
There we are. Yeah, we can see it now. So volume in dB, frequency, center frequency, and also got the variable QT GUI entry 1 and 0, which I presume is choosing between the file source and the signal source. So well done.
Right.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I spent some hours yesterday and today getting this set up and going through the chapters in the book. But it's a different matter, I think, getting the SDR to work.
Yeah, but I mean, don't criticise yourself in any way. It's clear from today you can see that many people are having the same problem. So, I mean, we'll carry the meeting on, but at the end of the sort of formal part of the meeting, we'll have a look together at people's individual SDRs if they like, and see if we can find some solution. Maybe Ted or Chet might come up with some solutions for you as well, which would solve the problem. So if not, we'll keep working together until we've got the problem solved.
When I loaded GNU radio yesterday onto this laptop, I saw a message about getting the right driver, and I did upload the driver, or download the driver rather, but like I said, I'm not sure how to tell GNU radio to go and look for that.
Yeah. Well, if anybody here thinks they're useless at this, please do not think that way. If you really want to put it in perspective, one day have a word with Ted about how bad I was when I started all of this stuff. Because the reason I think so highly of Ted is because he literally held me by the hand and any other bits of my anatomy that were sticking out to walk me through 1 + 1 is 2, and this bit's a wire and this bit's a resistor, and guess what, you plug the radio in here, because I understood just about nothing and got most of it wrong, and without him I wouldn't be here. But everybody seems to get this idea that because I run these meetings I must be very knowledgeable, so I'll take that. That's absolutely fine. But I want to go back and just emphasize that all of us do not find particularly GNU radio very easy to do, and that's the idea of these meetings, to bring us all up to scratch. And even I'm not very far ahead of you. I'm just busily spending hours looking at the book and trying to work it out before each meeting, so learning a lot all the time. But thank you. Has anybody else managed to do this who would like to show their volume sliders and anything else they've achieved there? How about George? Have you managed to do anything?
No, I'm not sure what I'm stuck on, but it's on a different computer.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. Okay. How about you, Ted? Have you got anything to show? Doesn't matter if not. Well, we've got both Ted Parton and Ted Klein. Ted Klein I'm talking to here at the moment.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't know which Ted. Yeah, I'm just following along, listening to what's going on, seeing kind of what you're doing. You're adding new buttons. Excellent. But I have nothing to show.
Fair enough, yeah. Adrian or Francesco or Chet or anybody else would like to show anything?
No.
I'm loose where you said to add the button. I not follow you, so I'm sorry.
Well, this will be on the BAA, British Astronomical Association YouTube channel within usually within a couple of days maximum. To be honest, it's normally there by tomorrow, but within a couple of 2 or 3 days. So I'd recommend, if you're having problems, that you have a look at it then, and perhaps slowly work it through, and you can pause and replay, etc. And then if you're still having problems, get back in contact with me, and we can always have a one-to-one meeting. I don't want you to drop out because you can't get it to work. That's the most important thing. Okay? And I will do my best to try and get you up and running again. Okay, right. So the last bit that was
something I noticed, yep. Andrew, you were using the SOAPy version for RTL.
I've forgotten what I'm using. Let's have a look. Let's put it up again. Yeah. And what have you been using?
Well, there's two, you see. There's one called RTL SDR Source, but it's under Osmo SDR. I think it's an adaptation of Osmo. And then in the core, there is SOAPy Source, SOAPy RTL SDR Source.
Yeah, well, the one I've got here is the RTL SDR Source, which is the one that I was using. Can you see my flow graph on here at the moment? Or are you still seeing cameras? You see my flow graph here? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see.
But I'm just thinking you might... oh, sorry, just to show this. This is just my favourite... Sorry, my final slide was... this is where I took Ted's flow graph here and decided to go bonkers and add in GUIs for everything under the sun, just to try it out. So I got labels, I've got click buttons, push buttons there, push button GUI, that's quite nice to choose between things. I got all sorts. And then GUI label is one that just allows you to literally add a label onto something on the screen. Works quite well. And then different syncs, and this message thing that Ted has added in here rather than myself, which says message pair to var. That's an example. We talked about messages, and in this particular case frequency then comes in fact probably Ted's probably better than I am at trying to explain that. Ted, can you explain what that does?
Way over on the left you have a RTL SDR source to receive, to talk to the hardware and actually get the signal, and we got to define the frequency. It's defined by a variable up on the top, someplace. I don't know. Must be freak someplace. Oh, I'm sorry. It's down on the bottom right. Of course, I put it in, and that's the variable that it uses. But we need to change it if we're going to listen to the sky and then listen to the sky again, but where the place. The frequency that has no hydrogen, so switching back and forth is the idea of Ezra.
So for those that don't know, this is the offset frequency method of I'm going to use the wrong word here, calibration. Really, it's reference frequencing, so that you can actually subtract a baseline. So what Ted does is every other sample, or as many, however often you want to do it, he jumps to a different frequency where hydrogen isn't there, so that he can subtract that from the actual sample. And then the residue gives you a much flatter baseline and a more obvious hydrogen line signal. Sorry, Ted, to interrupt. Carry on.
Well, exactly so. So we're changing frequency, and that big box in the middle tells you what frequency you're supposed to be using, and this is the way I push it out and then change that variable in the bottom right, which gets used by the big box way over on the left. That's all.
No, brilliant. So it just shows you could feed
There are a couple
back.
of details in there, but I finally got this to work.
So it allows you to feed back from the end of the flow chart back to the beginning of the flow chart. So as it keeps going through, you can actually change the frequency or anything else that you use as the flow chart wanders through. Brilliant. So very powerful. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Ted. So back to where we were. So what was the question that... I've forgotten now what the question that was asked. Was it you, Ted P, that asked the question? I forget now.
I did ask you which version of RTL SDR you used.
Oh yeah. That's right. I was just wondering whether you'd picked
We had some slides with the soapy version on.
Yeah, that's right. It's here. So if we look at this one, you've got on here, you've got the soapy SDR. This is because it's come out of the book.
I see a black box that says end of
It's
slide.
the black screen.
Oh, do you see a black screen? Hang on, which is weird because mine says it's sharing my screen. This is obviously not working very well today.
Well, I guess it was showing your screen, but you're moving your mouse around on one window and we're looking at another.
Can you? Oh, okay. Let's. Thank you for pointing this out. I'm glad we're moving to Zoom next time. I'm getting fed up with this now.
Well,
Right.
just have different buttons.
That's better.
Okay.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's the soapy version.
Yeah.
Now we see your slideshow.
Yeah, brilliant. Do you know what I've been doing differently today? Normally I just share my whole desktop, and today I've been trying to share individual windows. That's the problem. I thought that was more sort of professional, but I was wrong. I should go back to sharing the whole screen. So on here where it says soapy RTL SDR source, that's because I took it out of the course textbook, and that's what they use.
Okay.
When I'm doing it myself, I tend to just use the RTL SDR source, which has worked very well for me.
Right.
Which one do you use, Ted? That's Ted Klein.
Ted Klein, sorry, yeah.
I keep moving around. I figure they're just about the same. If they work, that's great. Some of the parameters may change, so that seems to be all local to the big box on the left somehow. In this case, you chose a soapy.
Ah, brilliant. Okay, that's a nice political answer. Ted P then. So you don't get left out, Ted. What do you use?
Well, I'm just trying it. It's picking up C++. No, it's unable to scan. Failed to open RTL SDR device. So there's two of us tonight getting that same problem.
Ah, well, in a moment we will have a look at that together and see if we can sort that out. So I think I'll stop there then for the presentation tonight. Give Chet a big thank you for his great presentation earlier on. Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for offering to speak at the next meeting. That was very kind of you and very gratefully received. So I'm looking forward to that at the next meeting. Has anybody got any questions or comments apart from getting your SDR to work that you would like to ask either myself or Chet at the moment, or regarding anything that's been discussed tonight? Okay, that's brilliant. Well, the next meeting, in case anybody wants to stop it, I'm going to continue the meeting, and I think because it'll be useful for people online, if it's okay with you, I will continue to record it so that people can see that just trying to deal with some of the issues, trying to get their SDRs working, or at least making a fool of ourselves while we try to. But just to point out that the next meeting, so it's the second Monday each month, so the next one is the 8th of June. So GNU Radio, put it in my diary, and that's going to be, I'll send that out to you, and that will be on Zoom. Presuming we haven't had a crisis with Zoom in the previous meeting, the previous week, in which case I might change my mind. Okay, so just make myself a note to send Zoom link for GNU next month. And video to BAA. Right, okay. So thanks.
Okay.
So sorry, who's that?
And I will see you guys next month.
Okay, thank you.
I'll be in touch with some more handouts for stuff for next month.
Brilliant. And thank you very much for getting the talk and for supplying those handouts tonight.
Sure.
Okay, all the best to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chet.
So let's look at this business of people who can't get their SDRs to work. Who'd like to go first? Oh, there were 2 or 3 people before.
Andrew, I'm supposed to get deeper in the book before I ask something else.
Are you able to get your SDR to work or not, Francesco?
Yes, I'm able. I made the example explained in the book, and I'm arrived to begin with the FM receiver. IM receiver I made successfully with the files. They say to download, but never used a physical SDR
All right.
receiver.
Have you managed to get an SDR working tonight?
Yes, I used AirSpy R2 and an RTL V4.
And they've both been working for you this evening, have they?
No.
Oh, no.
No, for that.
Well, in that case, can you
Because
share...
one said me, wait a moment, please. What he said me? Now it's connected the RTL V4,
Mm-hmm.
and I run it. It makes a long writings.
Okay.
Runtime error, failed to open RTL SDR device.
Okay, well let's get you to share your screen. Can you do that for us?
Yes,
So click share, and just probably best thing, share the entire screen.
This one, yes.
Yeah. So
do you see the blue
yep,
zone?
I can, but let's just start afresh. So just this seems to have seized up a bit here. Does it? Or just can we stop it a bit for a second?
Yes.
I'm sure this isn't going to sort it, but let's just start from a simple basis first of all. Let's just set up a brand new flowchart. It won't change the problem, but just to show us a process of going through these things. So file new. Right, so a brand new flowchart, and let's just add a source block onto that. Which is it, the RTL SDR that you're using?
Yes, it's the RTL SDR blog model V4.
Right, so you don't want Ezra Sync, you want RTL SDR source. Let's start with that. Just to say, the Ezra Sync does not exist on the search button. That's something that Ted's written, and if I remember rightly, it's incorporated within the flowcharts themselves rather than in the library. So just change where it says Ezra Sync to RTL SDR source, or just type source. That'll do. You know whether
I got the RSpy R2.
Well, I would stick with the RTL SDR for the time being.
Sorry, I connect the AirSpy or?
Yeah, you know where it says you need to put a block on the screen first of all, don't you?
Which one? Sorry.
Yeah, so go up to the search there. That's it. Change that. And which one are you going to use? The AirSpy or the RTL?
AirSpy maybe is better.
Okay. I'm not greatly experienced with the AirSpy, but so let's go with the RTL. That's something I know a lot more about. So type in well, you can do the AirSpy. Okay. Try the SOAPy. We know we can't use that. I'll tell you what. If we go down the AirSpy route, we're having to get this business of all those different sort of things that we have to write in that Chet mentioned. Do you know a great deal about those, Ted Klein? Can you chat to Francesco through it, or are we better off with the RTL SDR for the time being?
Kind of depends on his flexibility. You know one of them, and we could try to figure out the other one. Francesco, which AirSpy do you have? Is it truly an AirSpy HF?
I've got the both. The AirSpy HF and the AirSpy R2.
I know about the R2. I've been successful. But why is it not available on your as you search for it? So that worries me a bit.
Well, according to Chet there, you had to use the Osmocom driver and then put in the definition within it that it's the AirSpy. Is that what you do?
I guess so. That's true. Yeah. You'll be safer working on RTL first, let's say.
Okay. I connect it.
And then instead of searching in the top right for AirSpy, let's put in RTL. There we go. How about that bottom line? If you'll click on that, we'll get a box. Well, okay, that was one of them. That's the default one, and let's get that one to work. Splendid. Where are you going with this, Andy?
Well, I don't know this block very well because I don't usually use it. And it seems to have an awful lot more options. I tend to go for the soapy one, which seems simpler for idiots like me.
Well, all right. Then what we're suggesting is let's remove that block and go for the last line on the right instead of the top line. There's one built into GNU Radio, and you've chosen that one.
I could connect the AirSpy HF if you prefer.
No. Just on your right-hand side in your search box, where it says core soapy source, pull the soapy RTL SDR source across.
The bottom line, not the top line.
Actually, you know, I'm being wrong. Forgive me. Do apologise. It is the RTL SDR that I usually use. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. He's got the right one. Sorry, I feel an idiot now. Yeah, that's the correct one. Leave the one you've got.
We'll stay with this one.
Okay.
What would you like to connect up to it, Andy?
We just want a simple sync, don't we? So we just want a frequency sync or something like that.
Yeah.
Any old sync, basically. Or just type sync.
Spelled correctly, though. Yeah.
Yeah, just type sync.
Computers care.
Okay, that's there we are. GUI frequency sync, that'll do. And then just connect the two together. So I mean that gives us.
Let's run that.
Yeah. At the moment, what have we got within the actual blocks? This doesn't really matter too much. Yeah, just try running it.
Looks like 100 megahertz.
Right. So what is it saying? No registered for whatever. Do you understand those error codes at all there, Ted?
I'm not quite sure where the errors begin, but he was having trouble just with library stuff, and so maybe that's all related to SOAPy.
We could try the other one then after all that then.
Well, no, it's just that where do the errors begin? I think we're typing below the screen and I can't see what's going on. Let's see. Yeah, how do we clear that thing? Do we turn it on and off? It's been so long, folks.
Well, what I don't understand is why this doesn't seem to have just errored out and just cancelled itself. So libraries aside, I sometimes get problems with libraries on mine, but it still runs. If you go right down the bottom of that, where that all that stuff about interfaces is, and scroll it down there, Francesco, what have you got at the bottom?
In the bottom left, yeah.
Yeah, pull that box up. Right up so we can see what's at the bottom.
Pull up?
No, the other way around. Scroll right down to the bottom. Other direction. Pull it right down.
We want to see the last line. Yeah,
that's it.
Okay. So,
Runtime error, failed to open RTL SDR device.
Have you run Zadig on this computer to sort out the driver?
Serial driver.
I don't remember because I said before I had a crash of my PC and I could run it now if you
Yeah,
want.
might be worth doing. So if you close this GNU radio down for the time being.
Okay.
I was going to suggest why doesn't he just run like SDR sharp and then see if that'll open up his RTL SDR.
That is a very good idea. Do you have SDR sharp on your computer, Francesco?
Yes.
So share.
I must install it. I must install it, or wait a moment.
Well, you don't need to install it. SDR sharp doesn't install. You just run it from the directory. But we seem to have lost the share of your screen at the moment. I don't know why.
Yes.
Just share your whole screen again.
Yes, wait a moment, please.
Very good idea, Adrian.
I have a feeling that he has not and I'm not sure how GNU works, but I have a feeling he just hasn't installed the driver for the RTL SDR in this computer. So he needs to run static and do the installation.
Is this under Windows or Linux, Francesco?
Sorry?
Is this on Windows or Linux?
Windows.
Okay.
SDR sharp .NET 9. Okay.
It might be a different driver for the STR sharp. I'm not 100% sure. I was trying to do this earlier with RX888, and it was a separate driver for GNU radio than it was for SDR console.
Oh, right. So you think these programs might have their own inbuilt driver?
It's possible. It probably depends on the device and everything, you know.
Oh, we've lost you again, Francesco. Your screen's dropped out again.
Yes, I know, but because I'm trying to run SDR sharp, but I don't download.
So are you deliberately closing your screen down, are you?
It asked me on runtime, Windows runtime, desktop. Install. Yes. Sorry. This one. This is installing. Okay. Installation of no device available. No device selected. Sorry. I don't know. It don't help me.
Okay.
So next time, sorry.
So share your screen again and let's try the Zadig. This time, ideally, don't close your screen down.
I'm sorry. I'm completely fused.
Well, don't be confused. Just share your screen.
screen do I show you?
Just share the whole screen. Rather than the window, share the whole screen. Are you sharing a window or the whole screen at the moment?
What do you want, sorry?
Did you share the screen or did you share a window?
Which screen I must share, sorry?
On the left hand side it says screen.
Yes, I know.
Share screen.
But which screen
But it's not a screen. If you share on the left hand side it shares. Let me just double check. It says, when I say share, press share on here, I've got a choice. It either says on the left hand side screen, or on the right hand side it says window and gives me a choice of windows. Choose screen. That gives you shares the whole of your desktop. Whatever you're doing on your desktop will be shared. So if you close a window down, we don't lose your share. There we are. Brilliant. Brilliant. Right. Now, so what we need you to do is now launch Zadig.
Sorry?
Zadig. You had it 2 minutes ago.
Zadig? Yeah, Zadig.
Interesting coloured Windows Explorer. There we are. Right. Okay.
Yes,
okay. Interestingly, so on the bulk interface device 0, which is often the right one, let's just that you don't seem to have any current actual device driver selected at the moment. But if you go to, first of all, let's just check whether options we've got. Go to options at the top. Now, go to options at the top again and stop moving your cursor around. You've got list all devices, brilliant. Unclick, ignore hub or composite parents. Right, now click, you've done it already, fine. You don't have to go back to it again, you've done it. That's great. So go off there and now go to the little arrow at the right and click on that arrow. Yes, you're fine, you moved away again. Go to the arrow you were a second ago, not that arrow, the little arrow, the Acer interface 2, go to the right of that. You got, that's where, down there, down slightly, down slightly, down slightly, down, stop, no, up slightly, slower, stop, go to the right, that little arrow there, yeah, little arrow to the right of you, that's the one. Right, what have we got? I've never seen so many in my life. Okay, keep going down, scroll down. Keep going. Keep going. Oh, hang on. Go up. Up. What did I just see? Go up a bit more. More. Right up. There, stop. We've got right at the top, blog version 4, composite parent. What do we reckon? Ted and everybody else. Does that look good? Nobody's going to commit themselves.
Replace driver?
What do we think? I think so. I would take the risk. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You can crash your whole computer and have to reinstall it. That's the worst that can happen. Not the end of the world. I can't see what blog version 4 can be apart from that. It's got to be it. Is it a version 4 RTL SDR that you have plugged in? Or a version 3? Your RTL SDR that you've got plugged into your computer, is it a version 3? No, stop with that. Your version 4, sorry, your RTL SDR version 3 version number on your SDR, is it version 3 or SD?
It's number 4.
Exactly, that's what we want. Let's just, before you move anything else, the proposed driver is Win USB W6.1.7600 blah blah. If you go back to that drop arrow, there was an alternative, which it might be. That little arrow at the top again to the right of the blog version 4. Not that one, go up. That one. There was another one it might be, which was which was another composite parent one, which was this is so small. I need a magnifying glass. Anybody see it? Yeah, go up a bit.
Top.
Just go up a bit. Let's just try up and down and see what we got. Okay, go down. I'm pretty sure that blog version 4 is correct. But keep going down. Stop. Bulk in interface interface 0 in brackets. Up. You go up with it. Up a bit. Bit more. You got USB 0, USB 2.0 hub, and go above that. You got hub controller. Next one above that one. Next one. That one. Click on it.
This one?
Yes, that one. Click on it. Right. That also comes up with Win USB version 6.1.7600. Exactly what I would expect. Exactly the same driver it's proposing. Install the driver. Yeah, that often is the one that comes up with a blog, and you've got it for version 4 blog as well. So go ahead and install it. You notice how nobody else in this group is prepared to actually say anything, just in case it all goes wrong. I think you can be confident, though, it goes right. I can always cut this bit of video out if it goes wrong. He jokes.
It takes a long time. It takes time.
I'm crossing my fingers here and my toes.
Sometime.
I just a quick question. Why is there why is there a SOAPy RTL SDR source and an RTL SDR source in GNU radio? There's the Osmo SDR and then there's the SOAPy.
Yeah, it was like that slide I showed that I got out of Wikipedia. It's a sort of underlying architecture that's used to create a driver and the management structure to control the driver. So it's two different ways of writing a driver for the RTL SDR, basically.
Okay.
It's like two different people have decided, or two different groups of people have decided to write a driver. If Ted comes out, let's say Ted's written his own Ezra now, maybe, I don't know, Tyson here decides to write his own Ezra block and he publishes that as well. You might have two different choices, one with Tyson at the beginning and Klein at the end. Well, the first good sign is that... oh, this is good. Right, okay. So let's go to the... What have we got? We've got an RTL generic. That might be it. You never know. Could try play. There we are.
Yes.
Ah, look at that.
That's what it was. That's kind of what I thought.
Right, so that's a good sign. That's the first good sign. The second good sign is your computer hasn't all suddenly seized up, so you can't access it, which would have been a really bad sign. The problem with using Zadig, it is possible to do horrible things to your computer if you change the wrong driver, but not if you're careful. So you can close that down.
It happened to me, and I a couple of times. I have to reformat the whole PC.
So GNU should be able to open it now.
Yeah, so try closing this down and opening GNU Radio again with your flowchart. Well, at the moment you have just minimized that, and of course that's going with the bandwidth. I would close that right down. I'd go down to the SDR sharp one and right click on it. Down at the bottom, any little quick links at the bottom. On the bottom line, I'd right click on the SDR one, which is the blue one, second from right. Yeah, next one along, that's the GNU radio. That one, no, you've gone past it. Yeah, the second, that's one. Right click on it. Oh gosh, the left of that. That's that one, and close it down. There you are, good. So pull your GNU radio back again.
Radio. How many radios? How many windows?
I mean, you could use this one if you wanted to. You could use this particular one if you want to. I wouldn't get complicated with all this. I would just go back to a very simple, flow chart to start with. Get rid of these complicated flow charts. You've already got one in there that says new file name. Go back to that one. That might be the one. No, on your list, third line, that's it. Go up to the line with the different names on it. It says voice FFT, gain, new file name, AMRX. Oh. What are you doing, sorry?
I don't know.
Close it. Yeah. Okay, stay on this one that you're on at the moment. Go to the search on the right hand side and type in RTL. Right. Go to the source at the top, pull it down. Right. Now go back to the search button and find a sync.
What I must search, sorry?
Sync. S-I-N-K. Right, so now we'll try and find the RTL SDR sync. Scroll down, or you can add in RTL SDR at the beginning if you want.
No.
Or just type in, get rid of sync and type in RTL SDR if you prefer. Actually, sorry, what I'm talking about, I'm talking rubbish. You want frequency sync, GUI frequency sync, I'm talking absolute junk. Which is if you look halfway down, that's okay. There you are, GUI frequency sync, I'm talking absolute junk. Right, now link those two together. Great. That's fine. Now try pressing play and see what you get. The play's on the top line. It's the arrow to the right.
Sorry?
Press the play button. Play. That's it. Hey? Close that one there. Oh, you have to give it a name first. Well, yes. Save it as something. Thank you for that, Ted. Oh, this is looking better. Ah, RTL SDR blog detected. Way, okay. Look at this.
We got it.
Congratulations.
Now I need an audio sync, I suppose.
Well, you can play around with that. Perhaps go through the meeting video again and add a few bits in your own time and try. Now that you've got it working. Obviously, this has been videoed, so you can see how we actually achieved this as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Was there? Who else was there who couldn't get their SDR to work?
It was me. It was me.
Would you like to share your screen, me?
Yeah, I can do that. It's Ted here.
That's what we're here for.
Right, let me. I've got two versions open. Right,
Andrew, I have a question.
Yes.
Was that Mitchell that had that demo on the FM flowchart?
Chet, yes, Chet Mitchell.
Oh, Chet. Okay. Do you know if the spectra that he was showing is that what GNU will display, or is that something that he had written to provide the signal spectra?
It was what GNU radio displays. It was just using standard sync blocks that are available.
That was kind of disappointing.
Oh, right, okay. I mean, there are limited options. I mean, there are a number of options you can use, but they are essentially limited to frequency display, FFT display.
Right. Right.
that sort of thing, really.
Well, it was just the outline of the spectrum really looked fairly distorted. Do you know if that gets narrowed down in the bandwidth when you select for that display? Does it give you an option for which bandwidth you're going to use, like 200 kilohertz or 100 kilohertz or something like that?
I think you might be able to do that.
Huh. Because that signal looked like it had the digital sidebands, but they were so way down, and usually the intensity on those is almost equal to the central FM deviation peak, and they were just like really way down. So it just didn't look right.
Well, that might depend on how much the filter that's being used is actually taken out. If it does taken out too much, it might take the sidebands out as well.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was wondering then. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Right, so we've got another one that's failing to open the RTL SDR device. Let's check first of all that your RTL SDR device is plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are you using? Which one?
It's the New SDR.
Okay.
It's I think it's level 5.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, let's close down the GNU radio.
Yeah.
And have you got Zadig on your computer?
Well, I downloaded it again just now, but I have no idea where it goes.
Okay, well, it should be in the download folder.
That's true.
So if you open your folders and open your download folder, do you know how to do that?
Yeah.
Sorry for asking basic questions, but not everybody does.
No, that's okay.
Well, the quick check is just like I suggested earlier. Just look and see if SDR Sharp will find it, and if it does, then it's installed. And if it doesn't, then yeah, you need to go back to Zadig.
Well, yeah, but we can also find out here whether it's properly installed anyway. So go to options.
Yeah.
At the moment I can't. At the moment I click on options so we can see what options you've got.
I have done.
Okay. Oh, I can't at the moment.
List all devices, maybe? Or?
Yeah, you want to list all devices and unclick composite parent thing. So where it says ignore hubs and composites or something. Oh, we can't see your screen.
Oh yeah, it's got to ignore hubs and composites, yeah.
Get rid of that.
It's only seeing my webcam.
Oh, hang on. Okay. So go to options again.
Yeah.
Really can't see anything at all. This is difficult to give advice without.
Sorry. So I've got the usual thing. First 4 are ticked off. Create a catalogue file, assign catalogue. I've got advanced mode.
Right.
Mode
Unclick.
verbosity.
I can see it now. Unclick. Ignore hubs or composite parents.
Unclick it. Okay.
Have you unclicked it now?
Now I can see it.
Right. What have we got?
SDR Smarty version.
Ah, there we are. Easy. Click on that one. Now it'll say replace driver. So we want the same. So it's going to bring in the same Win USB W6.176.00.16385, which you might remember is exactly the same one that was installed there on Francesco's.
Progress. No, we've got to restart my computer.
Well, that's fine. Do that and then log back in and with us when it's finished. Well, mind you, don't normally have to do that.
No, I'm surprised.
Well, let's not do that yet. Let's just close. No. That might be to do with something else.
I'm optimistic about this. It's getting very late, and
so where do I send the bill to, by the way?
I'll give you a free lesson on pharmacokinetics instead.
I spent 30 years doing all that stuff. I've had enough of that.
Is that what you did?
I was a GP.
Yeah.
Until last year.
But, pharmacokinetics of antibodies, therapeutic antibodies.
Ah.
Which antibodies? IgGs or IgMs?
Oh, IgGs. IgMs are big things. Nobody mentions.
Yeah, they're the biggest ones.
You're just testing me.
Yeah.
No, IgGs.
My favorite ones are IgAs because I have a lot of allergies.
Oh, do you? Oh, well, that's not from IgE. The trouble with IgE is it sits on mast cells ready to go, and that's why you get such a rapid reaction to allergy.
I know all about them, yeah.
Go ahead.
My expertise is TCRs.
TCRs?
T-cell receptors.
Oh, T-cell. Okay.
Right. And gamma delta T cells, not alpha betas.
I get the oral allergy syndrome. So because I'm allergic probably to silver birch, I get a horrible burning sensation from cherries, apples, strawberries, a lot of fruit.
Oh, I'm with you. That's exactly what I have. Bananas, watermelons, but I'm fine with nuts. So no problem with nuts.
Yeah, well, they would kill you. Yeah, it's a different process, I think. I found a monograph a long time ago, which from the University of Portsmouth Medical School, and it had several tables. And I didn't realise I was allergic to these tree pollens until I read that, because it had the list of fruits that I couldn't take. It's only a sensation. It's just not very pleasant.
We must share the same HLAs.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just beginning to. I'm looking at the messages coming up on this installing driver business. Oh dear. I'm just wondering whether Microsoft Windows is this business of having to.
So how was your day?
I'm just wondering whether this business of having to restart the computer really is required on your computer for some reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we've identified what the issue is, that you haven't got the Smart T version 5 installed, and so it might be that you need to restart your computer, and it's possible that running this Teams meeting is also causing problems for you at the same time. So what I'm going to suggest is that when we finished, that you tonight or tomorrow or whatever, have a go yourself at redoing it again. You know what you need to look for here, and then you can then try it in GNU Radio, perhaps in SDR Sharp, and see whether it actually works. Okay.
I've only got 45 seconds before it aborts and self-destructs.
It might need to restart the computer. Okay. Anyway,
bye.
All the best, you guys. Has anybody else got any questions or anything they'd like to ask before we close down for the night? No? Well, thank you very much, all of you, for staying to the bitter end, and thank you for being involved tonight and for everything that you've contributed. Really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you next time. I'll send another meeting out, invite out to you on Zoom. All the best to you. Bye-bye now.
I thank you, everyone, for the help. Thank you.
Pleasure. All the best to you, Francesco. Fantastic.